What's up? What's up? That's so fun to say. But make sure you follow us on social media for chances to win some of the dankest prizes in town. Plus, you don't want to forget our 4th annual Simple Pleasures Block Party on August 24th from 1 to 8 p.m. We promise a good time for the whole family, so you don't want to miss it. Welcome to the second episode of the Smoke Me Out podcast, hosted by Hunter Smith and shout out of Simple Pleasures here in Hagerstown. Today we are thrilled to have Jordan Lavender and Tyler Harp, the visionary owners of The Florists, joining us. The Florist specializes in pheno hunting and clones, among other things, bringing unique and high-quality strains to the market. So join us as we delve deep into the fascinating world of pheno hunting, discuss the latest trends in cultivation, and hear the inspiring story behind The Florist. So go ahead and light up, relax, and enjoy this insightful conversation. It's time to smoke me out. All right, guys, welcome to the second ever episode of the Smoke Me Out podcast. Today I got two great guests, got lots to talk about, and let's make it a good one. So, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
My name is Jordan Lavender. I don't call myself a master grower, so I'll say I'm an OG in the game. We'll put it like
There
that.
you go, I like that.
But no, I've been around commercial cannabis for 7 or 8 years now. Kind of started in the traditional market. Learned from Oaksterdam University when I was fresh out of high school.
Which is a world-renowned weed
Yeah,
school.
It was like one of the first cannabis colleges. But it just had a lot of great people that had been around the industry for a while. So I was formerly at a grow here in Hagerstown. Moved on with another company, and yeah, man, just doing commercial cannabis, navigating through these crazy times.
Very cool.
Which camera do I look at?
Any of them. You
Any
can
of
look at the center one.
Gotcha.
I got both of them hitting from the side, but the center
Cool.
one would be a good one. But anyone.
I am Tyler Harp. I am a farmer. I took over my father's farming operation here in the county, in Washington County, in 2016, and I've been doing that ever since. It fluctuates every year with the land development in the county, but we own two farms, right around 650 acres put together combined.
Wow.
And we farm and we lease and or rent another 1,200 acres, and that's, when I say farming, that's mostly row crop. I mean, completely row crop. Excuse me. We have no animals. The only animals on the farm is my employees. Is one of those like Dogo Argentino, like it's like all white, like Argentinian like hunting dog, and it's the sweetest
nice
dog. But and then my blue pit bull pig. So yeah, they're the only animals. But yeah, just row crop. So that entails corn, soybean, wheat, and barley. I haven't grown barley in the last 3 years. It's just that there's not really a market for it anymore. As far as the way I grow it commercially.
Gotcha.
I got my start in the cannabis industry unofficially. I think I was 16 when I grew my first plant.
Oh, wow.
Or 15 or 16, and it was just bag seed.
Yeah.
And put it out in mom's garden, like on the side of the house, and got scared, halfway through. And then I remember my second one, I was like 17, getting ready to go to college, and this one I wasn't as scared, and it got getting bag seed, maybe got like 4 foot tall before I had to go to college, right up in Shippensburg for my freshman semester. And
Oh, man.
my mom's really cool. She's an amazing person, and she's like, "You want me to watch it for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So anyway, long story short, I'm in my second week of college, and I'm sitting there in class, and I get like a text from my mom, and it's a picture, of the plant. And at this time, it went from 4 feet to like 7 feet tall in 2 weeks. Like it had just took off. And I'm looking at the
that
picture, and like, cameras weren't very good back in 2009. And I'm looking at the picture, and I can see my like very, very old fashioned weed is the devil father mowing in the background. And I'm like, immediately get up out of class, like drive from Shippensburg home. Like, I'm like, Mom, like, and again, like our house is right, a good 50 feet off the road. So I'm like, Mom, the dad can't see this. The people on the road can't see it. The Mennonites can't see it. So I ended up taking it up on the further up on the farm, and 2 days later, a groundhog ate it.
No.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it was 7.5 feet, just starting to flower. It ended up being a female. And
legend says that groundhog's still looking for food right now.
Dude, oh my goodness, yeah. I kickstarted a habit with him that he's probably like still chasing, like just going out eating every plant, looking
still
for
chasing the
like
dragon.
That. Yeah. But so officially, it was during COVID, and again, I would always, I wouldn't call it a hobby grow. I just really liked the research and development of it. I always like to see things grow, so like being able to tent grow was super interesting to me. I always felt like I was learning every single cycle.
Absolutely.
But so right around that time, the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy offered a master's program in medical cannabis science and therapeutics. This was 2021, and I had graduated with my undergraduate from Salisbury in 2013. And so I was like, I'm not going to get in because I fucked up.
Because of me, right?
I fucked
Everyone
off. I fucked.
thinks
Everyone
that.
fucks off in college.
Absolutely.
So like my GPA is not going to get. Anyway, got accepted somehow, and it was the first class. Graduated 2 years later, and compared to Jordan learned the growing manufacturing side of it. Because University of Maryland is a federally funded school, and at the time it was still scheduled, Schedule 1. They could not, if they taught us how to grow the plant, it would be considered them teaching us manufacturing of a controlled substance. So what we learned about was how does cannabis affect your body? What does it do when you ingest it, when you rub it on your skin in a topical salve, when you put it under your tongue, when you inhale a concentrate, when you smoke it in your lungs? Even if you would try to do it intravenously, we learned how it is going to affect you, how long it's going to affect you, what the different cannabinoids do. So like, besides your CBD, your THC, your THCA, which everyone's big on now, with the laws and stuff. You have your CBG, CBDV. Now I'm forgetting them all. But there is so many, your minor cannabinoids that are lesser known that all of these different phenotypes might have, that there's a lot of potential medical potential with them, not just with CBD, not just with THC. That's what I learned with it.
Do you think learning that helped transform you into a better grower? Like, do you think having that base understanding of what it does to the body, how your body breaks it down, metabolizes it, did that have anything to do with how you try to grow it? Are you trying to grow for extra terpenes now that you understand it?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say necessarily like directly.
Okay.
But as a grower, I feel like I can see sort of knowing the next stages. Besides, okay, I had a really good everything, each step of the grow cycle just went flawlessly. The dry went flawlessly. The cure went flawlessly. But now I know when I do smoke it, if I do break it down and make edibles with it, or wash it, in ice water and make rosin, how it's affecting me, which if I grow an OG Kush, why is it making me want to stay on the couch more compared to a haze would? What's okay. And again, what I guess for the audience, what the best way to generalize it, we went further besides what makes a sativa, what makes an indica an indica, and really it's just the THC profiles, your cannabinoid profiles and your terpene profiles, the different mixtures of those, makes up your sativas and indicas and your hybrids. So yeah, I guess in a long answer, yes, it does. It does.
What kind of stuff did you learn about at school?
Man, so
Did they have restrictions like that there?
No, this was Cali, man. It was during like the collectives, they would call them. So people were making these collectives, and they were really just like trapped out grows, like
right.
It was really just about the culture. And then mine was just completely about growing, grow room setup. You know what I mean? The parameters for environmentals you're trying to hold. Back then they didn't really say VPD much. It was just more like what your humidity's at, what your temperature's at. The HVAC needed to do that. Lighting was a really, really early on thing. A lot of the stuff we learned about grow setup was actually based around HPS still. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So LED hadn't even stormed onto the scene yet.
What was the general consensus? So, like, what was everybody doing mainly out there, indoors or outdoors?
A lot of depths, and then some of the indoors were basements. Honestly, they were. You know what I mean? It was full HPS indoor, which was hot.
Yeah.
Super, super hot. And I mean, you're talking in Cali too, so
hard to impress people in Cali, right?
Exactly.
I don't know if you've ever been under a high pressure sodium light, like 1,000 water when it's on its full.
Been under some
strength.
strong ones, but probably not that strong.
I mean, even at a 10-foot ceiling, even if you're standing like a couple feet, indirectly away from it, you're still feeling that. It's there's a reason they say it's the closest light to the sun.
They say that plants do the happy dance down there.
Yeah. And it's funny because I actually met Tyler through my old job, through his master's program. I toured him around the facility I worked at.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was like we had mutual friends, and I've known him, since we were fresh out of high school.
So it was kind of perfect.
Exactly, and it worked out perfect. And then
we partied in the same.
What a kick-ass day of work,
Exactly, and then I toured him around, and Tyler is a huge living soil guy, so big, loves organic, and at the old company I was with, we actually had a full living soil floor, and my job was I was a lead on that floor.
Okay.
So
I was enthralled.
Yeah, it just really caught his attention, and then here we are. Man, it's like 4 years later now. You know what I mean?
Are you guys ever gonna maybe come out with some living soil of your own to sell? Maybe give some pointers, classes, tips, let out that recipe.
I think the
pointers. I like.
Cool.
Everyone likes to make their own mixes. Soil is soil. I mean, you break it down. And it's basic stuff. It's basic elements. So like, yeah, that would be cool. But what intrigues me, and I always tell him, like, besides growing and besides breeding and producing genetics and exploring that aspect of cannabis, I said I would love to just do maybe twice a year, if we had a little greenhouse, do like a 2-hour workshop. You know what I mean? Like when we were talking about cloning, teach people how to propagate clones. Yeah. Teach people how to keep their veg tent. Tips on veg tent cleaning or health. Just certain things like that.
Workshops.
Did you guys each have a mentor that kind of made you more interested in it, or you don't think you'd be the grower you are without meeting said person?
So I have to shout this guy out.
Shout him out. Give him his flowers.
Yeah, his name's Jeff Foss. He owns a company up north called Liberty.
Okay.
So follow him on Instagram.
Definitely
if you're someone who's up in the Boston and Mass and Rhode Island area, check him out. It's called Liberty. But I mean, I'll tell you, dude, the stuff he used to speak, you know what I mean? And I mean, again, this is 2018.
Right.
So this is 6 years ago now. And I mean, he was super ahead of his time, and just knowing living soil and knowing, you know what I mean, what it's going to bring to the game. Because I mean, there's a big culture shift now with salts
really is,
versus living soil, and people are starting to see the benefit that soil's not only doing for the terpenes and the quality of bud, but also how it's regenerative
and
how
you
you're
hear it
actually
everywhere.
helping the earth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're actually helping capture carbon, you know what I mean, instead of just burning it up. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So
one of my biggest regrets with my last grow is I forgot to get the CO2 bags to hang up. And dude, I mean, I'm happy with how my stuff turned out, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, if I'd have just got those fucking bags, man, they'd have been just a tad better.
You got it. So, well, those bags are never gonna like
produce the amount of
too much. But you know what I mean? Like I've seen in commercial settings, like too much CO2, dude, and bud starts looking crazy. You know what I mean?
Push them.
It's like fox-tailed out and looks all naughty.
Yeah,
it'll push them.
I get you with the bags for sure. If you didn't have any at all, it's always good for that over ambient push. You know.
Yeah.
So,
the addition of CO2, it speeds up the photosynthesis that's happening. Okay. Like, you know, on the
so it cuts a couple days
on the
off
leaf
cycle.
on the leaf.
It just helps it do. It just helps tomatoes
surface.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like it helps that plant just go and take up nutrients, photosynthesize. It does everything at a better rate. You know what I mean?
And this is a bad example. This is a bad metaphor. But almost like doping.
Yeah. What I was going to say is cannabis is one of the most CO2 hungry plants there is.
Okay.
So like, just you know, in terms of environmentals, right? There's more hemp grown and things like that. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to see these spikes now from all these environmental factors that we're dealing with. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
Like, and it also is the biggest bioaccumulator, right? So like it can rip heavy metals out of the ground like no other. So like Tyler will tell you, you know, in big farming where these fields are destroyed or whatever the case may be, if you got some hemp in there, and like, because we had talked about this years ago, you got some hemp in there, man, and I mean, dude, in like 3 or 4 years, that soil will be damn near remediated from planting the hemp, ripping the hemp out, removing it, replanting. You know what I mean?
You need to take care of it.
You can't mulch it back in, or you're going to reintroduce some of those chemicals. Not at the same rate,
but you can just remove it.
That's what intrigues me.
And do you think that's something that a lot of these bigger outdoor grows out in, say, Cali, Oregon, Washington, you think that's something they're paying attention to now after being like stuck behind? So if that's not something you were doing since day one off the ground, you know, you would have fell behind at some point. Your quality would have, instead of going up, start going back down.
Right, they'd start losing some stuff. It's a tough one, man, because again, like...
Because that's got to cut into profits to fix a problem like that, versus do it right from the start.
It's, again, though, when you get to the size of a glass house or the size of these companies, you know what I mean, that are doing this and are just growing, in all honesty, mids.
Yeah,
it's hard to manage a system that big, you know what I mean, without just saying, screw it, dump salts on it, you know what I mean, dump fertilizer, get the plants big, and you know what I mean, sell it.
We know X amount of dollars that we pay per gallon for the fertilizer. We don't know how many months or years it's going to take for us to get 100% regenerative. Soilless grows are cleaner. They're more sterile. That's the big selling point. They're sterile, and you can spoon feed the plant exactly what it needs, because you know exactly what the plant's getting by testing the solution that you're feeding it. Right. Because that's the only thing it's getting. You know what I mean? Because your soil, your medium is
it takes a while for them to build it up too. You know what I mean? Like they have to build that soil, because again, you're not focused necessarily on the plant. When you're building it, you have to build the soil. The soil has to be alive. Right. You know what I mean? You have to have microbes. It's got to be active. And then when you reach that state, then it's like, damn, dude, I can just drop whatever I want in here, and you know what I mean? It's going to just grow and flourish, and I'm going to top dress it, and you know what I mean? You're just going to stay regenning, you know what I mean? You're not going and buying $100 bottle of A, B, and C. You know
but I will add to that, in the beginning, you know, back in like the late 80s when the amendments were made to, you know, California and stuff like that with the medical cannabis, the profit margins were so huge
Yeah.
that it didn't matter what the prices were as far as fertilizer or this or even plastic. Like, they didn't care if they were getting custodied on
Get it all,
price.
because
they were making $4,500 a pound.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, $400 an ounce.
I'm not hating,
that
but
type of
you
stuff.
It was a nuts time.
So
people that took that risk, they got rich.
But now with
Yeah,
you have your Anheuser-Busch's, you have your huge companies out there that can still operate like that, and they always will. They're not going to adopt that.
right.
But the smaller companies are going to have to, because
It's the only thing that'll make you
gone are the
stand out.
days of $4,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not gonna.
It's got to be quality above all, and I call it like a new state syndrome, right? So like you'll see like a new state adopt a medical program, right? Like that went from decriminalized to a medical program.
Took the next step, yeah.
When they hit that medical state, you'll see all these big MSOs flock to get there because there's an initial bubble. You know what I mean? There's an initial time where people don't care if the weed sucks. You know what I mean? It's the joy of actually going to a dispensary and actually buying.
Let's take grandma after ice cream. Let's take grandma to the dispensary to pick up our to-go order. She'll never eat a gummy, but like let's take a selfie with grandma at the dispensary.
And then it starts to take
literally
off,
that's
it starts to catch up. You're gonna start seeing like more weed. It's gonna start to become saturated, and like I have no problem, and how does it in a saturated market, because it's like, again, quality. It just makes quality stand above all.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and look at how much can I grow. It's how fire of stuff can I grow. You know what I mean?
There's not been a corporation yet in the cannabis industry that's been able to scale up the quality.
Exactly.
Not one yet that's been able to keep reliable quality cannabis coming out of what is it, a million square foot,
like
double story grow.
Exactly.
One of my reasons,
and it's a lot of automated, and again, automation is great, but plants can harm me for no reason, absolutely no reason at all. Your humidity could drop in that 1 square foot in the back corner of the room, and that thing could just be a really hot Hermie and toss off, actual fertilized pollen, to where it could. And again, if you have good ventilation, pollen is so light, you're blowing that stuff around. So like one plant out of a 600 plant room could seed up quarter your batch, and depending on what type of company you are, you might have to list that as seeded. Some companies don't care, but if you want to keep your
exotic, hand wrapped.
And even aside from just Hermes, I mean, past at that type of scale, you know what I mean? When you get one thrip, you get one russet mite, you get one, aphid, like, and you don't catch it. I mean, because again, it's a million square foot canopy.
How many of these companies do you think are just sweeping it under the rung? Fudging results, see a piece of mold, like, oh, no, we didn't see that.
Exactly.
Throw it on the ground, step on it, keep walking.
Listen, exactly.
You know it happens.
You know it happens, and we won't, it just, it happens.
It happens.
You know it happens, because again, them cutting and tossing that whole plant is like, you just threw away $2,000. You know what I mean? So it's like, cut the damn mold out. You know what I mean?
It's like they'd get mad at you for bringing it up.
Exactly, exactly. But again, it's just, it gets out of control. Like when you get into those huge rooms, man, you're talking like 4,000 square foot rooms. Like, dude, you're gonna have microclimates. You know what I mean? Where it's like getting hot in a certain spot or getting super humid in a certain spot, because you're trying to HVAC something so big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I always say, like, it's better to start smaller and grow yourself organically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To where like you hit a point and you're like, I'm comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't
I feel
too
like
much.
I could do this again.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, where you're not losing quality for yield. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times it's going to backfire on you. It's going to
canopy size versus labor force.
Yeah, it's just, and you're asking people to take care of rooms this big, and come on, man, no one wants to go in a room for 8 hours, like scouting stuff all day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Long sleeves.
It's just not.
So let me ask you this: say old Grandma Hunter here You know, Hunter's grandma was looking to grow some weed. She hasn't done it since the 70s. She used to just throw it out in the field and walk away and come back. What would you suggest for her? You know, should she start out auto? Should she start out feminized? Should she go outdoors? Should she get herself a little tent? What do you think is the most foolproof way to grow? Obviously, anybody can plant a seed and watch it grow, but what do you think the most easy beginning thing to do is, or your opinion?
Let Tyler start. I'll let Tyler start first.
Sure.
I mean, logically speaking, pulling off a rooted clone.
Can we smoke it?
Like a vape. Let me vape.
Pulling off a rooted clone.
It gets a little crazy sometimes.
Or I'm sorry, buying a rooted clone, giving Hunter's grandmother a rooted clone from Simple Pleasures, and again, regardless of what the genetics are, if she can read the care, you know, the little care slip that it comes with, that would probably be the easiest. Reason being, I don't think Hunter's grandmother is growing to look, or I'm sorry, growing the plant looking for, you know, a male, you know, a specific male pheno, or a specific this or that. So if grandma just wants to grow a female plant, a rooted clone would be the way to go, because the work, the labor, the selections, the Hermy percentage testing, it's already been done, you know. But again, you can get a clone. On the flip side of that, you can get a clone that, you know, let's say has some finicky genetics. If you get the original Triangle Kush, Emerald Kush, Triangle Kush / Emerald Kush clone only cut, it likes to Hermy at, for example, it likes to Hermy at week 3, and it just during that 3rd week, you just have to have it everything exactly. No, don't, if you're running a tent, don't open the tent. You know what I mean? Make sure everything is right, so you're not fluctuating. The second best, I would say, would be, you know, regardless of it being a regular or feminized seed, you want to look, so like an F, you know, not an F1. You want to look at like an, you know, like an F4 and F5. And what that signifies is that strain has been it's been worked through, meaning it's been, so let's say it's Banana Kush.
So for those that don't know, one being
the F1, the F1 is an F1 variety, an F1 seed
prototype
is the offspring of the mother and father cannabis
cross,
whichever you cross.
Gotcha.
Now, what you do is you take the F1 and you cross it back, whether it be the male or female, you cross it back to the original mother or father, depending on what you're crossing, you know, depending on what you have, what keeper you have. And then you keep doing that, and what it does is it genetically speaking, it takes the variance out of the
And when do you know when to stop going back and forth? When do you generally, you just know, or is there signs that you're searching for?
Well, whatever your goals are.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a specific smell, if you're a specific terpene profile, if you're looking for a specific size or structure.
Sure.
Some growers don't like their cannabis phenotypes to put off really big. You know, a lot of people, novice growers, might think, oh, look at this huge, you know, bud that my plant put off. This coleus is, you know, wider than a softball and as big as my arm.
Right.
The chances of that molding, when, you know, after you cut it and dry it without cutting it apart, which you don't, you want a whole plant. Chances are it's good.
I think it's great you bring that up, because
there's so many different, whatever your goals are.
The goals are important. You need to temper your expectations. So, you know, a lot of these first-time growers don't know what to expect. You know, they don't have goals. They're just coming in like, I want to grow some shit to smoke it, you know. So first, Hunter's grandma should establish some goals. You know, she wanted to smell good, taste good. She wanted to help with that back pain, and then you kind of temper off from there. So you guys are both definitely living soil guys. You do a little bit of both.
I've done both.
Once you go living soil, you never go back.
It's
tough too.
It's something. I not necessarily wouldn't say you don't go back, but you don't forget about it. You know,
right?
I mean,
right.
I mean, me on a commercial level, it's harder to kind of pitch that to investors.
But in your personal tent, in your closet, you're doing it that way.
Exactly. Because again, man,
it's the way. I think that's the future in all these commercial grows. They're just gonna dump out the money to do it, or you think they're gonna keep doing
I think
it the
because they can, you know what I mean. There's still really good bud out of, you know what I mean, out of synthetic grows. It's not to say that at all. There's still really, really good bud.
Let me give you this example. A 15-year veteran soilless grower, if you would taste their bud compared to a 2-year or even a 5-year living soil grower, that soil, you're going to taste the years of experience in that soilless grows. Only when the experience, in both, I would say both growing mediums are the same and knowledge are the same, are you going to see the advantages of the living soil. Why I think living soil is superior is because you're replicating nature. And the one thing every grower will tell you, a perfect outdoor season, a perfect plants that were grown in a perfect California or perfect Oregon or perfect Washington State outdoor season, right? There's nothing better than sun-grown perfect season. Now again, that happens maybe once every 10 years that a perfect season comes up.
Yeah, man. You hear about it too. Prices go up. Prices reflect that. It's definitely no secret.
I'm just a farmer, but if I would have to guess why,
pretty smart farmer. If I would.
Well, thank you. I would say it's because it's the closest to replicating nature as we can do in a controlled environment.
It's cool. It's definitely cool.
In a chaotic world.
That's
bro.
True. Broski. Alright, I'm gonna rip off a couple of
You hear that rain?
It's fucking pouring.
I'm about to put my windows up. I actually went back to put my windows up.
Wow, that was a game-changing decision.
I'm gonna hit my vape.
Guessing it's going pretty good?
Absolutely. Chill.
I thought I would be a lot more focused on cameras and I thought it would be more like public speaking than it is.
Yeah. I was crushing first couple times.
Crushing.
You are crushing.
I'm gonna tell Johnny. I'm gonna have Johnny sign you up for the first pitch this season of the new boxcars. The new boxcars.
They might sign me.
Maybe even have you sing the anthem.
They might sign me after a CB pitch.
Shit, after how bad they've been getting beat a couple times, they might, bro.
Actually, went yesterday. They stomped whoever, which was. I was like, bro, they just could not.
I've seen them lose 27-2. They've scored 2 runs.
In the new stadium?
Yeah, I've been to 3 games. Combined record, bro. I don't know what it is. And they got the 2 runs, and I went and took a 5th. So I got to see them score a run.
There was a game tonight, wasn't there?
I was good.
Downtown was. That's why I was a little late. Downtown was insane. Thank you.
Yeah, it probably definitely got canceled. So that'd be going on right now.
People walking out like, fuck.
Yeah, sure.
I think this is both of ours. Unless you had one over the holiday weekend, this is the first beer you or I both have had.
First beer I've had in a while.
At least I can remember. Yeah, seriously.
It's the best way to loosen up for it, though.
Yeah.
Get you talking a little more.
Yeah,
those outdoor plants are getting
love.
Perfect. Yeah.
No wet.
All right. So what would you say what are some of the most common misconceptions? Let me start that over. What are the most common misconceptions?
Tongue twister.
And there it is. What are the most common misconceptions about growing cannabis that you've encountered? From, I'd say, a beginner's level all the way to, maybe your boss's opinion.
Misconception? My biggest one would be yield over quality of bud, you know what I mean? And to THC percentages. And that being the sole focus of.
That's everybody's driver when it's driving them down the wrong road sometimes.
It's one would be yield over quality, to say, hey, I just want super fat buds, you know what I mean? I just want this crazy heavy yielders, and then also to just be solely focused on, I want something that's like 35%, 37%, you know what I mean? When there's like so much more than just a THC high, you know what I mean? And as you start to get into, you dive deep into cannabis, you start to see it's more about like terpenes, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
the entire,
it's just so much
the
more
entourage
to it.
effect, and you'll hear that come up a lot more. Is the again, the terpene profile of the specific phenotype, the cannabinoid profile of that specific phenotype, and how they all interact together, and the difference that little bit of CBG makes in that one phenotype added in with that profile compared to when it doesn't. And I would definitely go with that as far as a misconception.
It's a big misconception.
But also, the one thing I would say as far as growing cannabis is a misconception is like, even you know, with years and years and years of doing it, just when you think that like you've got your shit together and you've got it, you're a master and you're senpai, you know, you're the leader of the dojo, you'll get a pest infestation, or you'll just get mold randomly, or just like something will,
it's like, why did God do this?
Your lights
to
will
me?
all of a sudden start to short out because, like, you know, a bad ground light, and it always humbles you.
Right.
And it always
nice
never
little reset.
It never lets you get lazy. It never lets you get. You can get in a system with it, but it's just, yeah, it keeps you on your toes, and yeah, you're always learning, and I love it. That's the one thing I will always say. I absolutely love to learn, and it's always teaching me.
How fun is it talking to some old ass guy about growing weed, right? Because you know they've always done it, and seen it.
Hearing their old ways, and especially how
they did things.
And you gotta remember, like, that was back in the day where they were going. They could have lived in the middle of Martinsburg, West Virginia, in the backwoods, and they were still walking a half mile away from their cabin to smoke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the undercover bear is gonna crack you. You know what I mean? The other undercover bear is gonna get you. It's like, so like, I couldn't even imagine. And again, I was a teenager then smoking, and I remember like worrying about getting arrested for a dime bag or smelling like it in public.
Sure,
but like, I couldn't imagine growing because that was back when the state police were flying around.
That's what I was saying.
They were the helicopters were still funded.
Motherfuckers that were like fucking, because again, like, you got caught. You're talking jail time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You ain't coming
like,
home soon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no time soon. Like, you would just been coming home with the thing they did, you know what I mean? Around here. Like, it was just, you would have just been getting out. So it's like, that's why the ones that did it and made it, like, they deserve money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they do deserve it.
That $4,000.
I got a funny story about when the helicopters used to fly over. So my buddy's best friend, this is back like over a decade ago, he lived out in Boonesboro. So again, he didn't live on a farm, but you know, he lived on like an acre and he had neighbors. So he wanted to grow like, I think he put out like 8 plants. Well, they got tall, and he was like, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll put sunflowers on the edge of them, on the edges of them, right? So obviously, long story short, cops show up. Hey, show me your plants out back. What do you mean? I don't got any plants out back. They're my sunflowers. He goes, buddy, what do you think it looks like from 1,000 feet up in the air? All I see is a yellow rectangle. He's like, that's all we saw. He's like, we would have never even known it was cannabis unless you didn't literally highlight where you were growing it from the air. He was like, all we're seeing is just yellow. So he's like, I hate to do this to you, but we gotta arrest you. But he's like, we were cracking up in that helicopter. Like, I'm just saying to myself, I bet you were. Yeah, if I was that guy. Man. So different days. And then, like, again, now you're taking
rip it up.
Now you're taking, you know, Hunter's grandmother to the dispensary to post about it on Instagram.
From something that guy might have got out of jail and then grew legally, you know? It's fucking crazy.
It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. Back then to now, it's just different times.
It sure is. What advice would you give to someone who is interested in starting a career in cannabis cultivation?
To start reading, you know what I mean? And now, since we're in the state, you know, in a legal state, like, go get yourself a little tent, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I mean, I guess if you're still living at mom and dad's or whatever, make sure, you know, they're cool with it or whatever. But you got to start getting hands-on. You got to start making mistakes. You know what I mean? You got to start seeing, you know, your plants dry out and wilt out. You got to start not training them properly. You know what I mean? Because again,
you want them happy at all times.
You gotta go get hands-on. And then, I mean, dude, now, like, you don't have to go to the library computer downtown to look up weed stuff anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's like now you can just do everything right here on the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people.
Shout out Grow Weed Easy.
Yeah.
that's not a government site. That is a very informative, like,
YouTube guy.
like if someone ever asked me where do I start, I thank you for the plant, Tyler. Where do I start? GrowWeedEasy.com. Funny. Like, thanks. You know, Comcast will be calling me. No, I'm telling you, GrowWeedEasy.com. It even has like a, you know, help me diagnose my plant, and you can type in all the lower leaves have brown spots, and it leads you to your, you know, and it's all free.
GrowWeedEasy.com.
GrowWeedEasy.com. Yeah.
That's different, just
Yeah.
different time for us.
The
to-
tools
Yeah,
at our
yeah.
disposal are
Can
just
you
so
can you
crazy.
imagine telling your friend 10 years ago to type that into their computer?
Or the 50-year-old old guy who's coming in
That's
to
what I'm saying.
fucking buy seeds, got sunglasses, hat all
Right,
on.
hat on,
Take
like,
the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Take the
good
cow,
one,
man.
partner. You type it in.
Yeah. You do it.
Yeah, you do it, man.
That is.
Let me guess. Next, you want me to say water pipe? You know, next,
Right.
you want me to say bong and not water pipe?
Yeah.
Right.
Ever since you know, the hemp came around, you know, it's just been a totally different kind of business, and you know, it's trillions of dollars at this point now, and you know, the states are always fighting, trying to take it away from, you know, the little guys. You know, they only want the big guy to sell it. They don't want someone like me, you, even you to sell it. You know, unless you go through their loops, their hoops, and what they want.
They gotta have a piece of your pie.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, that's why it's so hard, is because trying to make sure, you know what I mean, they're getting theirs too. There's no way they're gonna get left out on this one.
And there's not a lot of, in general, there's not a lot of pie left anymore.
That's
You know?
what they don't seem to understand. They keep coming back to the table with that plate empty, and it's like, bro,
Yeah.
she's not baking them no more.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we got a wait
Yeah.
list.
Again, like we talked about earlier, man, this ain't the 4,000 a pound daisy. Like I said, where did, you know what I mean? You get top of the shelf.
What a time to be alive,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
It felt
Top
so
of the
good to
shelf
smoke
indoor.
back then, man.
Under
Now when I
$2,000.
smoke, I'm like, fuck, I gotta get back inside or something like that. Back then,
Yeah.
dude, it was a thing to do, to go smoke. Like,
Yeah.
you were
It was
excited to
an
go
event.
do it. It was an event. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's almost just like
It's
a
part
fate.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I shouldn't say that.
It's
I mean,
part of it.
but we, as the community, we shouldn't let it get there.
And that's
You
part
know,
of the
because
propaganda
it's
they
gonna-
put
it's gonna
down on it
become-
too. You know,
Yeah.
we were meant to think like
Shouldn't
that.
be like that.
But you know,
Right.
we gotta escape that box of thinking.
So, not to take over your podcast, but to ask you a question,
Sure.
what, as a head shop manager, owner, what have you seen change? Besides like with the hemp and everything, but like, you know, back when I said back with the old days, like with the, you'd get kicked out of a store if you said bomb.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or if you said weed, no, get out, you know.
I think just the overall attitude about it, you know, I would say that at least like a quarter, almost half of our customers that we see come in now, you know, 10 years ago, were probably some of the ones saying, oh, you know, I'll never do that, or calling the cops on their neighbors for smoking. But, you know, over the years, there's so much more information available, and I think it's helped so many people close to them. You know, they've seen their family members or loved ones be helped by it. So, like, you know what, let me give it a try, you know. I think the biggest thing I've seen change is everyone's overall attitude and willingness to at least talk about it.
Right.
You know, before there were people who would just completely shut you out. You know, you were either way on the right side or way on the left side. There was no let's meet in the middle and have a talk about it, you know. So I would say that. And also just, you know, probably the quality of like all the devices, the product itself, you know, it's just such an innovative category of business, you know.
more quality stuff. You don't feel like you're just getting like something that was thrown together in China. You know what I mean? To fill a void really quick. That's gonna break.
They still have those products on the market, but even they're getting better. You know, they're lasting like 2 weeks now instead of a week.
Man, shout out Chinese dab nails, man.
We have an import section, is what we call it. Where you got your nice affordable glass, and then you got your headies, where handmade, locally made. But I would never, even when I started 5 years ago, I never thought we'd have a growing section, a whole wall of seeds. We'd have
local artists.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing back then. I'm sure they were doing it. They've been doing it for 20 some years, but it wasn't a thing that people were coming to buy. And even then, Cheech and Chong, had to get locked up just to make a point about it.
It's just awesome to see. It's awesome to see everything evolve. But it's crazy because I still go, like Myrtle Beach or something.
I know, isn't that
it's
a blast from the past?
Yeah, it's just completely.
I feel like it's 2012
dude,
again.
You're getting locked up for a gram here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You just want to put your weed card in the back like a license plate, go do it.
It's just wild. So it's just crazy.
You guys ever watch Live PD? See any of the weed arrests on there? It's so
states
crazy.
That are
man. I mean, even the cops nowadays are like, dude, this is such bullshit, but we gotta take you. It's like a professor driving home from college or something.
Crazy.
They don't care.
I gotta say hello to cops.
Yeah.
And for some
reason,
still
on air?
And for some reason, it's always Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
It's always Albuquerque.
Everyone moved there. All the
reruns are just Albuquerque, and it's like you can tell it's reruns. It's like it's not new ones, but it's always Albuquerque.
Yeah.
It's fun. And you're not gonna forget that name. You know what I mean?
Right. That's true.
I do remember Live PD though when the kid peed himself because he had like a quarter ounce shoved between his groin.
It was no joke. He got caught in the wrong spot. Got caught in another state across the line. The cop will smoke it with you after he gets off the hair, dude.
Exactly.
Get on the ground.
And that's the craziest part right there, dude. Especially, think about it, Virginia to North Carolina.
Yeah. It's fucking low.
Think about it, dude. That's a completely Virginia's recreational, right? So
Virginia wrecked before we did.
So
but they're still very behind. They still don't have the infrastructure, the dispensaries.
But
great growers.
Crossing that line, though, dude. Could you imagine going from I could smoke in my kitchen to I can get locked up for this?
I know, man.
You know what I mean? That's wild.
Virginia, man, they don't fuck around. Whatever the cops there do, they instill a fear in people.
Commonwealth law.
You don't want to get caught doing nothing wrong.
Right. You go 85. You go 85 and a 70, and you'll have a helicopter landing on the highway in front of you. You know what I mean?
Slow down, motherfucker.
Hey, which reminded me. Speaking of Virginia, one of the questions you asked, one of the bigger inspirations for living soil.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the ways of living soil, like a method of growing it, is Korean natural farming. And that's a whole big thing. And I'm going to say his name wrong, but I believe it's Youngko Soo. It's on YouTube. Just look up Korean natural farming documentary. It's an orange thumbnail. It's about 30 minutes long. But that's what really intrigued me, and what really, and there's a little bit of philosophy into it, which goes into the corporations and how, using their pesticides and using their salt-based fertilizers over time turns our farmland, our soil, into nothing but a soilless medium, a growing medium.
Oh, wow.
It strips it of all of its biological activity. It strips it of its nutrient value because there's no biological activity. It can't process nutrients. It leaches everything out. So what it does is it turns it into cocoa coir. In a way, think of it like that. And so, in the KNF documentary, it explains about, how growing like this and getting back into the regenerative agriculture, like our, forefathers did, in different ways. But our land has become addicted to the corporations' products, and we can't, and whether you're farming cannabis, whether you're farming corn. Our farmland, our land has become addicted to these corporations' products, and we can't farm successfully without them. and we need to break that habit. And again, it's not a conspiracy-laden documentary. It might be for a minute, 30 seconds that they talk about this, but that has stuck with me. And when I took over my father's company, that's what, how I can't replicate that on a 2,000-acre farming operation because I would need 200 employees, which I don't know that many people.
You would need 200 employees or 100 of you guys.
Exactly.
That's what's missing from a lot of these companies. They just have a bunch of like high school kids, not much experience. Where if you put like 4 of you guys in a hoop, man, that shit's gonna win the fucking Emerald Cup.
But our wives and his children would quickly not like that. But who got me, who showed me Korean natural farming was actually good old social media. A random follow. His name is his Instagram handle is Marco is Growing.
Oh, nice.
And he was just some random follow that he's in Virginia, and his account was just like a Korean natural farming, like he does their methods. It started out because it was before Virginia went recreational, just doing like Korean natural farming with veggies and herbs and stuff. His wife's house plants and stuff like that. And he's a really neat guy. Like we got to talking through messages, and like he told me he was a defensive end or a defensive tackle for Virginia Tech and everything like that. So he's a real big dude. But anyway, when Virginia went rec, he just took all of his knowledge and practices that he learned through Korean natural farming and like replicates it on a home hobby based. I don't know if he's affiliated with any like MSOs or big grows. I don't think he is, but he's just always dropping like little reels with tips, free tips and this and that. I know he does classes, and he's right down about an hour and a half away in Virginia.
Oh,
and he does like we were talking about the like little seminars and classes on how to make collect indigenous microorganisms using parboiled rice.
And see, those are some of the selfless people of the industry. People who are willing to have a seminar, put their teachings out into the world. And, it's all going to grow the industry and, the people growing. The number of people growing will continue to rise if more people share their secrets, what they're doing, take at least a minute of each day and be like, hey, you growing that shit?
There's
doing stuff like that.
Chris Trump, too. Chris Trump is his name. Look him up. He's a huge Korean natural farming guy. Because the guy who
Chris Trump,
the guy who started that he tried to say his name was there's like a master like certification you can go get from him. Like you have to literally go.
Only from him? What?
Yeah, you have to literally go to Korea, right?
Seal. No.
Wherever he's at, but anyway, it's
an
an actual program, and you get a master certification from him. But I mean, like. Yeah,
that would be so gnarly.
He invented how
what
to...
What a life experience.
I mean, it's all organic fertilization is pretty much what it comes down to.
And it doesn't get better.
Every single thing that you can
chemistry,
make
alchemy.
In a salt bottle, it can
He invented how to make water-soluble phosphorus without using combustion. He did it using water, and it's in the first 10 minutes of the documentary. Very interesting. Very neat.
It's literally like life-changing stuff. There's a documentary too on Netflix. I think it's with Woody Harrelson.
Oh wow!
What is it called? He narrates it.
That's cool.
But it's a living soil documentary. Dude, it's only like an hour, 15 minutes. You've gotta watch it.
That's
talking about getting farmers to, regen farms and like with livestock rotation with crop rotation. So you know what I mean? Like planting in a spot where the cows were and have already fertilized with, their manure and everything like that. Then you move dude, it's wild. You gotta watch it. It's great stuff. But it talks about how, dude, we're killing our soil with
there's only so much of it.
Yep, exactly. And it'll get to the point, and they're also running out of these minerals. You know what I mean? Like we're farming so much phosphorus and so much, things from the earth. Like, dude, we're eventually gonna run out. You know what I mean?
Concentrated, available minerals.
Yeah, we're eventually will run out of these if we keep farming at the rate that we are.
People are so selfish.
Farming them.
They're like, it's not going to run out in my lifetime, so let me just make all the money I can and run. But, you know, they're not thinking about
Hunter,
the
it's
future
crazy.
generation.
It's crazy the amount of people that think like that. Even people our age.
Even people our age, exactly.
It blows my mind.
It's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
So
Even if they have kids, I've noticed they're like, I'll let them figure it out, or it won't happen to them. I mean, it could happen any fucking minute. The way this shit's going.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like we're eventually you run out, and then there'd be like food shortages. Like farms run they literally feed people. Like you know what I mean? So it's like if it ran out and they couldn't grow crops, there's gonna be a start. You know what I mean? People are gonna start going hungry. Like so, it's like I suggest people start to. You know what I mean? Learn to grow some veggies.
It's not gonna be like
cannabis. Start to grow some veggies yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to have a green thumb to start to learn. You know,
exactly. Yeah. Just learn because. Dude, there's nothing better, one, than smoking your own cannabis, but two, eating your own peppers, eating your own tomatoes, and stuff like, you know what I mean?
And 9 out of 10 times, if you go to your local seed shop, or even us, you know, and you're talking about you have an urge to grow or you're interested, you know, we'll probably give you a free seed to try.
For sure.
You know, so it's like, you can almost try it risk-free.
Yeah, it's always about that, bro, to push the culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Help people up.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, there's not a single thing that like him and I do when we grow or do anything when it comes to cannabis cultivation that is secretive or an industry secret that him and I wouldn't divulge to anybody.
Right.
It's not that. It's just I think if there's anything that sets him and I apart from anyone else when it comes to growing is the fact that like we obsess over it. Like that's all we do. Like his children, his wife, golf, cannabis.
Yeah.
Do you think most master
Farming,
growers
my
are
wife,
obsessive of nature?
Cannabis.
Do you think most master growers obsess over it?
You have to.
The
because it's your
people,
life. You know what I mean? It's just everything.
you can see it.
Like it's just
The people that don't. It's like natural selection. They weed themselves out.
Yeah.
Or they get found out.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a room with all of them, you know, you can quickly.
Exactly. You start to feel what's
exactly.
man, it's great.
Probably just by hearing them talk. You know
Exactly.
Talk about the plan.
I mean, 10 seconds in,
how
20
they
seconds in, but you'll hear it.
What they talk about and how they talk about it. Yeah. It's don't get me wrong. It's not like we're sitting here doing this to 100%, you know, aid the community and help others. Like, you know, we're not doing this for charity.
Right.
But, you know, we are trying to make an income to support our families, but I swear to God, and I can tell you, it is nothing makes him and I happier than to like see the smile on someone's face after like teaching them a tip or trick, you know, or them laugh. Why does this plant keep looking like this? I've tried everything. I've looked online. Did you try upping your humidity? I didn't.
Right.
I didn't even think about it. And you know what? I didn't fill up the humidifier. Thank you so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're welcome. You're welcome. Don't call me again at 11:30.
I always say too, man. It's like people will they love their Starbucks and stuff, right?
Right.
And they'll go and try and make their own Starbucks to save money, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like an espresso machine, whatever the case may be. But it always seems that they'll still go back and get Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
So it's like Starbucks will tell you how to make their drink. You know what I mean? Like there's Starbucks isn't like, hey, our menu, you know what I mean? Our ingredients are secretive and you can't go ahead. If you want to make that coffee, make that coffee. But you don't make that coffee like Starbucks makes that coffee.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It doesn't taste like
just
Starbucks.
Quite not
so it's the same thing with growing, man. Like dude, I'll tell you anything you want to know. You know what I mean about it. Like I'll give you all the information I got. But it's like at the end of the day, it's coming down to you and the plant. Like you have to, you know what I mean? Like apply it and understand what's going on. You know what I mean? So it's like, again, that's why people will try it and they'll come back and just be like, you know what, dude, I'd rather just get bud from You know what I mean? Like it's just like I'd rather
that might be
just a little bit.
Just
too
because you
much.
got it from the florist, don't mean it's gonna look like it's from the florist.
That might be something to add into the misconceptions. Is like, yes, it's a hobby. Yes, it's a side. It might be a. When you see the ads for the tents, they're perfectly clean, but you need to after the cycles, after a flower cycle, you need to disinfect the sides of that tent. You don't have to, but if you don't want mold the next time, or if you don't want a pest buildup, if you don't want pathogens, this or that, like there is probably the biggest misconception is even growing in a 4x4 tent. You're gonna put 2 to 3 hours a week into that tent.
Yeah.
If you want average to half decent stuff, and again, from there the nuances add on to that to make it into the fire. You know what I mean?
And genetics.
Attention to detail. Oh yeah.
I hate like someone would be like, dude, my bud was like super airy, and I mean again, someone will follow the stuff to a T. You know what I mean? And really do everything. But again, it wasn't, dude. It was from a fucking, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't somebody who was a renowned breeder or has some talent. You know what I mean? Someone who worked the line. You know what I mean? And has like some real valuable stuff. And that's what you expect. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like the seed game is the same as just the cannabis game. There's going to be people in the seed game who are just going to
cut corners.
Yeah, just going to push seeds off with no valuable testing.
They call them pollen chuckers.
You know what I mean?
They're everywhere, man.
Or just to get the seeds off, because again, dude, it's a super lucrative business because you can produce 10,000 seeds out of a 4x4 tent. And look at the price of seeds. You know what I mean? That right there is that's stupid money out of a 4x4 tent.
Well, really is. The meme on weed Twitter is, watch me turn this accidental pollination into like a $50,000 breeding project. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like literally, because it's like, oh shit, these two rooms like, just open pollinated, accidentally pollinated from a Hermie. Yep. Well, guess what? We just got the new Slurricane crossed with, crossed with OG Kush.
That's why I wasn't too upset when my Chimera Breath 3 and We Be Jamming kind of fucked. I was like, all right, that's not bad, dude. I'm keeping all these seeds.
Right. You kept the.
That's where the hitters come from, is back. See, everything comes from a seed,
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. And again, when you can pheno hunt ran lines, but like if you're trying to pheno hunt an F4 and F5, that thing is there's only so many different phenotypes that it's going to produce out of an F4 and F5 seed, and out of those phenotypes they're going to be very, very, very similar.
Yes,
there only might be two phenotypes. One might be a tall phenotype and one might be a short phenotype, and they might smell exactly the same.
You know, like a F1 or F2,
you're going to have variance.
Big variance. You know what
almost
I mean?
50-50.
Like you're going to be really, you're going to be looking through. And I would say more of like the F2. Like a lot of no breeder really is going to be releasing like, you know what I mean? Because there's no real testing behind an F1 yet. You kind of get me? You're just getting the offspring of the parents. But like at F2, you're checking herms on that. You know what I mean?
So F1's almost like their testers, if you will.
The F1 might lead them down the rabbit hole.
It's an untested line.
Exactly. Like you're getting every single kid from those parents, the seeds are different. You know what I mean? You have different, one might be tall, one might be super yieldy, one might be tall, super yieldy, and stink. You find that, now we're going to work this line. Right. We start to lock this in.
But then all of a sudden, the 300th one has all the characteristics you want, but it just smells like extreme rotten fruit.
Yep.
But everything else smells like pine needles, for example. And then you're like, oh my god, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this?
And that's how they just start working.
Bang, and that's how you go.
And there's tons. I mean, we went through seeds earlier, man. There's so
you guys
many
have
great
a
breeders.
very impressive suitcase.
Yeah,
It's bigger than a suitcase.
It's a lot of and it's a lot of people that impressed us too, who are part of the culture, and we support them, because when you support people who are making good seeds, man, it all comes back. You know what I mean?
It's all love.
Yep, all love.
So before we get out of here, I'm gonna get you guys to tell me a little bit about what you got going on, the Florist.
For sure. Yeah, man. I mean, So with us partnering up, our business is called the Florist. Right now we're focusing on the clone, like, you know what I mean, clones, variety of clones, everything hunted by us, some rare thought after breeder cuts, things like that. We want to really, as the florist,
You want to have an impressive catalog.
Exactly. We want to take the pressure off of the grower. You know what I mean? I want them to know that they're getting a
Make
good,
it easier for hunters' grandma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Make it way easier for hunters' grandma. But what I was going to say to that too was, we've applied for a standard dispensary and a micro grow.
Yeah.
We didn't get selected in the first round, so we're kind of hoping for the second round, because ultimately too we want to become a cultivator as well too, on a
micro
If
scale.
anybody should, it should
we're not
be
even interested in the big 300,000 square foot
Yeah.
license. We're interested in that micro, man.
leave that to the bidding war,
Exactly,
right?
because we're going to be that artisan, super dank, sells out every time. You know what I mean?
Almost like the
limited
heavy,
drop, that limited drop type stuff, where
Yep.
it's like, yeah, dude, like the market's getting 100 pounds.
Better
of
grab it
this.
when it's in.
Exactly, and you better grab it when it's in, because the blue sushi won't be around. You know what I mean?
I'm excited to try that one.
So, but yeah, that's Tyler's and elaborate more, but that is.
Yeah, to build, just to build off what you say, like if we were able to secure a micro license, a grow license, we're again small micro, but with the employees we bring on, obviously we're because it's a social equity license we're applying for. Diversity is a big part of it. But not only that, but again, like I said earlier, I love to learn, and I like anything and everything, and I want to extend that to our employees. So like we were saying earlier, like I want them to be like, if they're there for 6 months or if they're there for 6 years, I want them to be able to leave with something added to their resume, with something learned, a life skill. And again, we're lucky with cannabis and cultivation that, they can replicate most of what we do on a pepper plant or a tomato plant.
Right.
Teach their sons and daughters. They don't sit there and grow OG Kush with their kids.
Yeah.
But, they can replicate.
Not
So
yet.
like that's one of the biggest things. But with the company, we like Jordan said, we want to be impressive, but we also want to be reliable.
Exactly.
We really want to be reliable and
You want to be a standalone stand.
yeah. And if one of us has
People what they
to,
want, man.
if one of us has to run a replant, or
Yeah,
what would you call it?
recut.
Yeah, a recut. Yeah, if
If a customer needs a recut,
if one of us
we'll
needs to
recut.
run that out to the shop on a Friday or a Thursday,
We'll run it out.
So
we'll run it out. We're not above anybody.
No.
We're not above anybody.
And that's something that no one's doing, so I think that'll really set you guys apart.
Yeah.
That's something that we're excited to offer our customers.
Yeah.
We only want to bring them the best, and
Get your
You
cuts
guys are
from the
bringing-
florist from
Yeah.
Simple Pleasures.
that's right. Very exclusive,
It's
great
gonna be
prices,
exclusive, the best of the best.
weekly drops. So we're
Yep.
gonna be doing a kind of like a wait list, if you will.
Yep.
Write down what you want. It'll be here next week
Exactly.
on this day, and that'll be a weekly routine.
Yep.
So you can get all your snips, fully rooted clones, everything in between, all right here. Really excited to work with these guys. Guys, I want to thank you so much for coming by,
Hey, man.
spending some time
This
with
was
me,
It's been awesome.
This
hanging
was
out
awesome.
in the
Yeah, this
room.
is great.
This is our first podcast, so
Hell yeah.
yeah.
So this is great, man.
This is
Oh, we
my
did
first
all right.
and a half. You guys did great. Yeah. That was
So
really
this
good.
is only your second one?
I've done two. I
Dude,
think
you're over here like
Yeah.
you're over here like smoking a cigarette, like, you know what I mean, like kicking back in a robe, like.
He's
I gotta give, dude. You
very
gotta.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
You got the
you have-
podcast vibe.
He's
Hell
got
yeah,
his
I appreciate
notes
it.
and everything.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got little highlighted. I mean,
Yeah.
I gotta give you, Hunter.
I had to
This
prepare.
is
It was
this
great,
is
yeah.
impressive.
That's
Thank
what
you very
someone
much.
You gave us
said.
confidence.
I thought
Appreciate
I thought I was gonna be in like a trapped out closet. You know what I mean? I walked in.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Like, oh, this is nice. This is
I learned the
nice.
mistakes in my SoundCloud career, so now we're here.
Yeah.
We phased that out.
Right.
You're gonna have to
So-
send me some links. I'd like to hear some of those.
Yeah.
Some of those bars.
I got one
Yeah.
good one. One I'll stand behind. The rest of
Yeah.
Oh,
Right on, man.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
for sure,
Coming
man.
by the Smoke
Absolutely.
Me Out pod.
Yeah,
we will be in contact.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah. John,
absolutely.
This was
get
great.
you to grab a picture of us real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just send it to me. Can you get a portrait mode too?
It came with
You might have to zoom out a little bit.
It came with a nasty.
Yeah, you can zoom in too. Wait,
Yeah.
what phone you got? That shit looks pretty
That's,
mean. That's like the newest one?
It's the one. The newest one.
It looks like a good camera.
Yeah, 3 on that one.
Fuck yeah.
Smoke Me Out podcast.
Smoke me out, baby.